Hello folks, it's Josh and Sonia here from New Kids on the Dock, and in this week's episode we are putting on a roller furler. We have been dreaming and planning and manifesting and hoping for a roller furler in our life, and to be finally doing an install on our own boat, it's so awesome. It comes at the perfect time at the beginning of our second season, as this is going to be a life-changing, functional, safe, practical modification that we're going to be doing to our vessel. I'd like to give a huge shout out to Pete, aka Scurvy Dog, off SV Awesome, a race boat, Fast 40 in Airlie Beach. Scurvy Dog also has the chandlery there at Airlie Beach, and he's actually hooked us up with his second-hand roller furler of that boat. So we're going to be reusing, recycling, reconditioning an old and used roller furler and getting it going on our vessel. It's going to involve a bit of work and a bit of modification. Beggars can't be choosers. We got given a great furler, so we're going to give it a bit of love and give it a second life, because mate, these things last forever. So if you're keen to come and check out this expedition of going from something that rocks up that's just been pulled off a boat to getting it reconditioned, set up nice and spick and span, ready to go on your boat, then you're going to love this episode. What's actually involved in getting a roller furler set up for us is a fair bit of work. Last season we actually changed our forestay on feedback from our rigger mate Dacron Cutter. Top bloody bloke, an incredible rigger and a great friend of ours, and yeah, keen to have him on the project. It's good to have a rigger in your life that you can ask questions as a bit of a brains trust, you know. Everybody needs a friend, and bloody everybody on sailboats need a rigger friend. Having a roller furler on your boat not only makes sailing easier and potentially more enjoyable, but it makes it a lot safer for the crew, not having to go up on the bow in bad weather to do a head sail change. In the past, what we've had to do is harness up, put our jackets on. Phoebe has had to be at the helm. I've had to go up on deck, go into the wind, drop the sail on the deck, tie it up, unhank it, untie the jib sheets, get a new sail out of the bag, hank it on, clip it into the halyards, and then raise the sail in the wind. This can take up to half an hour, if not 45 minutes in really bad weather. And often when you're doing a head sail change, it's because you're overpowered and you need to go down in size. That would be because the conditions are getting worse, and that is always the worst time to be up on the bow. So this is a great safety measure for us. It means as soon as you think about doing a head sail change, it's as easy as just pulling a line to roll the head sail up a little bit. First, you got to get your furler. Luckily in our case, Scurvy Dog has sorted us out. But having a second-hand furler does mean that it's been pre-loved. The roller furler that we've got is actually 2 sizes oversized for our boat. So what we're going to have to do is change our 8mm forestay that we actually replaced last season to a 10mm forestay that's going to suit this size roller furler. That's why we need to get Dacron on board for this one. What I've done so far is absolutely scrutinize the installation manual, gotten my head around the product, and gotten my head around what's involved in getting it up. That's helped me get a really comprehensive list together of parts that I need to obtain that are missing for us for the installation on this boat, and also getting ready towards getting an actual sail that we can put on there, because your hanked on head sail is not going to go straight into a roller furler anymore. You're going to have to get the hanks cut off and a luff cord installed. For us, that's going to be a 5mm luff cord. I am walking down to see Al from Cruisin' Hughes. We're pulling down his jib and putting up a new one. He's had a bit of delamination on the bottom of the jib, so he's replacing it. Yeah. What material is this sail again, Al?
It's cruising laminate.
Cruising laminate, and it's delaminated down the bottom here, hey?
Yeah.
Is that standard for that sort of material?
It is. After 5 years, apparently that's what it does.
Okay, so what did you go with as the replacement?
Just Dacron. Dacron.
And what is that, the same lifespan? 5 years?
Yeah, about 20 years.
Oh, 4 times.
Yeah.
Far out.
But it doesn't hold its shape as well as this stuff does.
Yeah, right.
But of course, this stuff only lasts 5 years, so what's it really matter if it?
Yeah, true.
I mean, Dacron will hold its shape for 5 years. It's when it starts to get to 10, 15 years old, that's when it starts.
It gets a, what is it, bagged out?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but it looks like water's ingressed and run in behind the the laminates, like, as over time.
I've got some samples that I've got for repairing it.
Oh yeah.
And I got one of them out of the packet, had never been used before, and it just fell apart into 4 different laminates.
And not even in the sun, not even.
No.
Wow, that's bad. That's crap.
Yeah. You can see here it's starting to go here.
So
These 2 bottom panels are just totally delaminated.
yeah.
Allan's Furler is also a Profurl, but it's the C320 model, a step down from ours, so Josh was pretty stoked to get some hands-on time with it. It's roughly the same age as ours, but he's been having a few issues. Al first noticed something was off because of the staining on his jib. It turns out the aluminium foils at the joining segments were wearing down and creating a fine dust. After taking a closer look, he discovered that the grub screws holding the foil joiners in place had started working themselves loose. That movement was causing more wear, more dust, and more staining. Since he was about to install a brand new jib, he wanted to sort it out first to avoid messing it up. So the day before Allan hoisted Josh up the mast, he went through each segment, removed every grub screw, cleaned out the joins, and then reinstalled and retensioned the screws with some Loctite 243. That'll help prevent corrosion between the stainless steel screws and the aluminium threads, and more importantly, keep those screws from vibrating loose again.
Wow, that is such a difference to the old one. It's so crispy. A lot more buttons and longer than the other one, isn't it? Far out. So that'll give it more strength then, eh?
Yes, hopefully it rolls up. I'm assuming they know what they're doing.
Helping Al raise his new jib was a special moment. If you've watched our channel long enough, you'd know we pretty much only use second-hand parts on Innerbloom, which is a great challenge, but this has really got me thinking about a new sail. So you've tightened the uphaul until you've gotten a little crease on the leech edge.
Yes.
Which is this little crease.
The luff edge, yeah.
On the luff, sorry.
That's the leech.
Leech, yeah, luff, yep.
Yeah, until I've got a little crease there, yeah.
And then that'll push out when the wind actually is on the sail.
Yeah. Because if you don't have enough, you get creases where the foils are. It just makes it loose.
Yeah, okay.
You get all these creases going up the sail. You don't want them. You want it to be nice, stretched out, nice and tight.
Yeah.
Yeah, the radial cut is so that the fibres in the sail cloth go in the direction of the load. Yeah.
And that kind of adds strength over longevity. A little bit more expensive, but
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Do you want to put a bit of tension on that
Okay.
leech?
Yeah, that's much better.
He's a big brain, old Charles, isn't he?
Yes, yeah.
He knows what he's doing.
He does.
Shut up.
So bloody Doyle sails.
You have got a couple of, what are these, spare sections for repairs?
Yes.
In a bag that had never been removed until now, which is 5 years down the track.
Yeah.
Show me what's happening with them.
Right, just take them out of the bag and they're coming apart.
Already.
Already just coming apart.
And all that glue's still sticky, but just like wet, not like actually sticking.
So that's been just rolled up in the bag, and look, you can see.
And the colouring too. What's to go with that colouring?
Oh no, that's just the whole sail went like that.
Cruising laminate.
Yeah, cruising laminate. Why they call it cruising laminate when it only lasts 5 years?
Cruising delaminate after 5 years. Yeah. Now luckily Scurvy Dog has a 19 metre mast on his Fast 40. We've only got a 14 metre mast, so we're going to have more than enough foil segments that actually go on the out external of the forestay. That's what allows the whole sail to roll around the forestay. You've got some mechanisms called split bearings that clasp around the forestay that go within the joiners of the foil. We're going to have to replace the existing 12.7mm split bearings with some 10mm split bearings to suit our new forestay that's going on. Now during that time I've had a little bit of a check of the current condition of the different parts and mechanisms of this furler, and some of them, due to its age, are a little bit tired. Now this is the top section of the furler that your halyard attaches to and the head of the sail attaches to, and it's pulled up the furler. Now obviously it needs to twist with the sail as it twists, but this is very, very tight. Like if I had a winch that tight, I'd be really concerned.
Babe, we do have a winch that tight.
Before we install the brand new second-hand furler on the boat, I'm going to be pulling apart this bearing casing trying to remove the bearings and components from inside here and sourcing some new spares that I can then put into this unit. As the Furler was a gift to us, I feel obliged to, and I'm very happy to throw a little bit of money at getting it back up to scratch. I'm going to be also generally refurbishing the unit, so cleaning it up, repainting the parts that are necessary, and just getting it looking nice and schmick, because that's what we like to do with our boat, is keep it looking really gorgeous. But it's actually a curse because it takes a lot of time. But hey, anyway, it feels good to pull up in an anchorage. Feeling really proud of your vessel. Step one, I always take some photos of what I'm working with so that I know how to reassemble it once I'm finished. That's a crucial step that a lot of people forget. We're going to take these D shackles off, as it's going to help us get to the top and bottom bearing seal. After a little bit of research and playing around with this unit, I realized the job that's ahead of me for extracting these bearings. There is a lot involved in it. Ultimately, after reading on a few forums, I've found that yes, my bearing is sticky, but it's not actually making any grinding noises whatsoever. If I need to extract the bearings, I'm gonna do it in a bit of a workshop setting, not here in the galley. Now, I am attempting to remove the oil seals and the bearings from the top swivel on the roller furler. It's really sticky, and seeing as it's down anyway, we may as well give it a go. I jumped on YouTube and found an amazing video by Living for Sail that goes to the job I'm attempting. This diagram from their video shows the top swivel we are working on and its components. We're going to have to remove the mechanical seal, so then we can remove the C-clips retaining the bearing into place. Once that's done, we can press out the spindle, and once the spindle's out, we should be able to press or tap out the bearing. If there is one thing I learned in my studies for this job, it's that more people successfully damage their swivel when trying to repair it without the correct tools than successfully repair it. The aluminium housing is very delicate, and any scoring of the outer or inner section will ruin any chance of reassembling and correct function. I do not recommend the method depicted here. Get some proper tools and a good workspace. I've taken my own advice and sought some help from my local trusted mechanic, Johnny Boy. I'm always coming to John with my tail between my legs after attempting something on my car I probably shouldn't have, but he's always there to sort me out. So grease that's compatible with rubber.
Rubber, yep.
Yeah. And then the high temp waterproof bearing grease, because it's an open bearing, isn't it?
Correct.
It's all got to go together very particularly, doesn't it?
Certainly does.
otherwise you're probably gonna have to get another set of bearings and
I just rotate it back and forth a couple of times.
Beautiful.
Yep.
Very nice. So that's just like how a lot of bearings are unsealed, whereas these are open. That would otherwise normally be on the bearing itself that traps the grease inside.
Yes, correct.
Right.
Yep. Yeah. So this is to stop, like, obviously water, dust. Grease in your hand, like that. And basically what you want to do is just push the bearing
epic.
Like that.
Yep.
And then what you'll find, so it's forcing the grease in, and then what you'll find is the more you put in, it'll come out on this side. See it's starting to come out there? Yep, so I just go around and just push. See, it's coming through.
I said, you really made this look easy.
Oh, did I?
Yeah. Oh my, yeah, that looks so easy, but
you got shit everywhere.
Yeah. With all the components stripped down, cleaned, new bearings and seals prepared, we are ready to reassemble. Referencing our photos, we carefully reassemble, with John's leadership, the reverse of the way it came apart, and with a lot more confidence. Seeing this swivel go back together was a huge relief. So taking a bit of an edge off it so the grit's a little bit less?
Yeah, less, yeah. That goes that way. Correct?
Yeah, and then it's going to be sitting in that section there.
Correct.
So you always got to support the edge that you're pressing again.
On. Yep. So because we're pressing into this inner part, because the outers are held with the circlips now, it could potentially, if it was really tight, push the inner out of the bearing.
Every mechanic shop does a stack like that? Is that like a thing of mechanics?
Probably not the professional ones.
What? Wow, nice, Johnny. suppose we could have heated that up a bit, eh?
Yeah, you could have, yeah. But then you run the risk of damaging your grease. And
Yeah, true. Why is that mechanical seal so hard to remove, but it's so easy to go in? Probably because it
just grows in there, mate.
Oh, right. We're packing grease and packing up this job. Thanks for joining us this episode. Using second-hand parts on the boat makes everything much more fiddly. This can be challenging to create videos from, so I hope you enjoyed hanging out. Next week, we're in great company as Darren rocks up for a huge day installing the furler on Innerbloom. See you then.